You are welcome to Study Session 13, Velvet Revolution and the Fall of Communism in Czechoslovakia, 1989. Introduction. In this study session, we will learn about the Velvet Revolution in Prague, Czechoslovakia. The communists relinquished political power during the Velvet Revolution. The regime had exhausted itself and didn't have the strength to engage in a power struggle with the whole of society. Political parties were reinstated and the first free elections were held in 1990. Objectives: discuss the history of Czechoslovakia before the revolution. Analyze the cause of the revolution. Discuss the Velvet Revolution of 1989. Historical background to Velvet Revolution. Czechoslovakia became a nation-state after World War I when it became independent of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Following its division and partial incorporation into Nazi Germany until the end of the Second World War, it became a part of the East European Soviet sphere. In the famous Prague Spring of 1968, massive reforms swept through the Czechoslovakia government with Alexander Dubček at the helm. Between 1945 and 1989, 250,000 Czechs were imprisoned for political acts. 243 were executed. 3,000 died in prison, camps or mines. 400 were killed trying to cross the border, and 22,000 were sent to forced labor camps. Resistance to the authoritarian government persisted throughout the communist period. A robust underground intellectual life flourished within a fairly narrow circle, attracting major European intellectuals who lectured in the home seminars. Opposition to the regime was primarily cultural rather than political, and sometimes symbolically represented in drama and music after 1968. Because of the severity of government's repression of dissent, a month after the August 1968 Soviet invasion, for example, rock music became a medium for much political dissent. Factors of the revolution in Czechoslovakia, 1989. The revolution in Czechoslovakia was swift. It took place in the streets and at rallies rather than in a long process of preparation and negotiations. The existence of Alexander Dubček of Charter 77 and of Václav Havel saved the revolution from chaos by providing it with an alternative, leadership and structure. So many factors contributed. Revolutions in Poland and Hungary and East Germany. This provided the necessary catalyst. By late autumn of 1989, the Berlin Wall had already fallen. The border between Hungary and Austria had become porous, and Poland had long since held largely free elections. But in Czechoslovakia, the communist government was still doing what it could do to maintain a firm grip on the reins of power. It wasn't to last. The Czechs were ready for their own revolution in Prague. The East German escapees. This drove to Hungary through Czechoslovakia. Thus, the Czechs and Slovaks could also see the exodus. Later, when the agreement between the Hungarian, Austrian and West German governments was reached, trains with East German refugees to the Bondage Republic were crossing Czechoslovakia once again. The Czechs could see the Germans heading for freedom. This created some fervor among the Czechs themselves. The Velvet Revolution, 1999. In Czechoslovakia, it all started with the students. On 17 November 1989, thousands of students took to the streets of Prague. The march was a peaceful one, but it was nevertheless brutally suppressed by hundreds of police dressed in riot gear. 2 days later, the crowds had multiplied in size, and on 20 November 1989, about 500,000 Czechs and Slovaks joined a peaceful march through the capital. The 17 November event began as a communist-sanctioned commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the martyrdom of Jan Opletal, a student murdered by Nazi occupation forces and a symbol of Czech resistance. The denunciation of the Nazis morphed into an anti-communist protest and eventually a movement. After the official ceremony ended, Protesters continued into downtown Prague towards the symbolic Wenceslas Square until confronted by riot police, who began to beat them. Although the records remains murky, apparently one of the security force officers posing as a student demonstrator feigned martyrdom, and a rumor spread that the police had killed one of the protesters, fanning the flames of outrage. Havel convened an emergency meeting of the Charter 77. Activists and others at the Magic Lantern Theatre. The meeting resulted in the creation of Civic Forum, which undertook a series of grassroots actions and public demonstrations, such as people shaking their keys to sound the end of the regime. The movement culminated in a 2-hour general strike 10 days after the November 17th protest, showing the breadth and depth of opposition and leveraging negotiations with the government and Communist Party officials. Consequences of the revolution. After the 1989 democratic transition, efforts to craft new democratic constitutions for the Czech, Slovak, and federal governments were subverted by the remaining communists and others, thus creating two independent nations, the Czech Republic and Slovakia. In the Czech Republic, where Havel remained in office until 2003, the fragile Civic Forum coalition fractured into competing political parties. The socialists' economy was quickly privatized, with considerable initial economic success. The state security apparatus was dismantled, and the formal links between the military and security forces were severed. The military was depoliticized and transferred from communist to democratic civilian control. Both successors to Czechoslovakia have a multi-party parliamentary system and enjoyed rapid economic growth until the 2009 global economic crisis. On the 2009 Human Development Index, the Czech Republic was rated very high and Slovakia high. The Czech Republic was the first East European country to join the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, and it joined the European Union, as did Slovakia. Summary. Czechoslovakia became a nation-state after World War I. It was partially incorporation into Nazi Germany until the end of the Second World War, when it became a part of the East European Soviet sphere. There was Prague Spring of 1968 and was put down by the invasion of the Warsaw troops. In 1975, there held the Helsinki Conference, at which the government signed an accord agreeing to respect the basic human rights, while in 1977 a group of Czechoslovak intellectuals established a loose association, Charter 77, to monitor human rights issues. Revolutions in Poland and Hungary and East Germany, as well as the East German escapees, provided the necessary catalyst for the revolution in Czechoslovakia. The revolution in Czechoslovakia all started with the students. This swift development in turn led to the resignation of the entire Politburo, the formation of a compromise government, and the regime's resounding electoral defeat and creation of a democratic government. After the 1989 democratic transition, efforts to craft new democratic constitutions for the Czech, Slovak, and the federal government were subverted by the remaining communists and others, thus creating two independent nations, the Czech Republic and Slovakia. This is the end of study session 13. Thanks for listening.